It is now a hat trick of wins for Josh Chin this season. Drivers who are hoping to get a chance to get a word in edgewise have perhaps their best opportunity yet here tonight at Detroit. Notorious for being unforgiving, small mistakes and even circumstances outside of your control can end your day. Can Chin run the gauntlet and still come out squeaky clean? We'll have to find out as we get ready to watch round 4 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm DJ Clark. Alongside me in the booth is Adam Lundgaard. Behind the scenes is Joe Peak using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Detroit's Belle Isle Circuit is one of IndyCar's traditional events. Despite having far less power than the big boys, though, our Indy Pro cars will still find it a perilous venue. So let's head to our track guide to understand why.
Welcome to the Belle Isle Street Circuit. Situated in a beautiful park on Belle Isle itself, it rests in the Detroit River, sandwiched between the Motor City and Canada. With it being in the far north of the Midwestern United States, as you'd expect, harsh winters make this a bone-jarringly bumpy track. It's most known for IndyCar's yearly visit, but has also seen IMSA hold rounds here lately. The 14 narrow corners only add up to a mere 2.3 miles in length, but it can tend to feel like a lot more just from the sheer stress of keeping your car out of the walls. Runoff is non-existent in the majority of corners, so mistakes tend to be punished with race-ending damage. The dangers include the tight and twisty fountain section with its rapid-fire set of bends, and the frightening turns 12 and 13, which end the lap with 2 swift kinks. However, the most notorious spot on the track is the exit of Turn 2, made famous by collecting the Corvette pace car into its hungry walls one year. The first 2 turns are a quick chicane, so the extreme change of direction, plus the rise in the track as it crosses over a creek, means grip and balance can disappear in an instant. While the setup of the car can sometimes help lessen the annoyance of the bumps a little, what this place all comes down to is driver skill and daring. Precision will pay off with the close proximity of the barriers. While it isn't a stroll in the park for drivers, fans get to enjoy the beauty of the scenery all while watching some of the most thrilling racing an American street course has to offer.
The Grand Prix circuit of Belle Isle is a beast in any vehicle, but in these formula-style single-seaters, this place takes on a life of its own. The high curbs, right angles, and everything else this track has to throw at you prove a real challenge for these low, tightly sprung machines. With a decent amount of torque and braking power, but not much top speed, it's actually the low and medium speed corners that threaten to upset the balance of these monocoque minis, specifically turn 6 on the backstretch and turns 12 and 13 onto Sunset Drive. These bumpy, undulating corners have a tendency to knock the back end out from the car, and any amount of debris with iRacing's new damage model will threaten to end your race before it's even started, and at the race of anybody else who may run over your debris. Now, this is going to be a real test of grit and courage tonight, isn't it, Adam?
Absolutely. It's going to be really tough to hold on across the bumps of this circuit and also try and manage the aero and any sort of damage you might pick up. Like we said, those high curbs are going to be real challenging for these drivers. And also, the exit onto the front stretch is also going to be difficult off of Turn 2 because of how close they get to that outside wall. And this braking zone to 3, we've seen multiple cars miss that braking zone as well. So it's going to be really challenging for these drivers tonight.
It is, and it's going to be absolutely a test to see what they can do and who can survive. And now, as we are into qualifying, we'll dive into it in a second. But first, I want to tell you about today's race sponsor, ButtKicker. It is a race proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. You want to advertise with us? GSRC offers a wealth of options to get you and your branding seen on a platform with over 1 million monthly impressions. If your organization is looking for a global audience to advertise with, look no further than GSRC. Follow the link in the description below to learn more. Now, as we bring up on our screen here, we do in fact have several championships to talk about, the first of which being the Pro Championship. As I said at the top of the draft, Joshua Chin is just absolutely dominating this year, taking win after win after win, and he sits atop with 111 points. Behind him, David Sawa, only 21 points back. He may be able to close the gap, but not enough to overtake here today, probably. Behind him in third is Andre Millette for RSR Esport, and then behind him, Alex Gaillon, 36 points back, and behind him, Olivier Legault. And Adam, you're going to take us through, I believe, the AM standings.
Absolutely. Dave Peterson currently leads only 7 points over Lohan McClellan. And that's actually a little bit wider than you may think, and that's because these AM drivers tend not to finish quite as far up as the pro drivers, so the points that they get are going to be a little bit less. But Kevin Santana back there, 15 points back, only 7 points back in second position, so this podium definitely still open for these drivers. David Cristelli is going to sit there only 2 points back of third, so definitely with a chance on the podium. And Tyler Gore only 1 point back of him. I mean, it's very tight up there for that AM Championship podium, DJ.
It's incredibly tight, and just like the twists and turns here at Detroit, actually. And as we take a quick look at the qualifying standings, to the surprise of absolutely no one, Joshua Chin is about 3/10 ahead of everybody. But let's also take a look at the race details for tonight. Oh, excuse me, I read that wrong. We're going to go to the team standings first. And sitting up in that first place is going to be Team Talent with 177 points, followed by Lavoie Motorsports with 8 points back of them. RSR Esports back in third, and Pinuam Pneumatic back in fourth, with Blown Tranny sitting back in fifth place. Now, Adam, why don't you walk us through those race details?
Absolutely. This is round 4 of 10 here at the Precision Racing League Indy Lights 2000 series. They're going to run a 45-minute race around here with open setups, which means they can adjust the car to their liking or disliking. We'll see how that affects the drivers as they get on in this race. They've got a drive-through at 11 incidents and disqualification at 20 incidents, but I don't suspect we're going to see many drivers get to that before they have significant damage themselves. You get a bonus point for pole, fastest lap, and having 3 incidents or less, and you're definitely going to be looking to get those points for having 3 incidents or less, because otherwise you might end up with some significant damage and be quite a ways down the field.
I think you're right on that one, Adam. You know, this track really does sort of almost act like an oval in the fact that if you get up into the wall, that is game over. As you see here on screen, Joshua Chin getting a little bit wobbly coming through that complex there. So incredibly difficult. Talk to me about the braking through there, because I know it's so tough, Adam.
Yeah, the braking there it's a very bumpy braking zone, and these cars are very difficult to keep the front tires from locking. The front axle tends to lock up quite significantly, depending on how much brake bias you put in, and it's just so hard to manage. Now, as we're watching Joshua Chin cross the line yet again, his fastest lap's a 123.276. That was a 125.6, so he's got a little bit of work to do, but look at that. Declan Eady up to the top of the charts right now.
And there you see Declan Eady coming to a stop after that incredible lap. That's a bit of a surprise, but only 3 thousandths up from Josh Chin, and Chin's still on track, so he's going to try to do his best there. As there goes Eady's teammate, David Rodriguez, trying to put in a good time. He's currently sitting at a 24.132, so good times from him. That'll start him off in 4th provisionally. As we look down a little bit slower in the field, Christopher Richards is going to be back there. He is our top AM driver in 7th. The AM drivers not really getting up as far as we normally see them doing in some of these races. This Detroit Belle Isle circuit really separating the good from the great.
Yeah, it's definitely it's all that grit and determination that you're going to have to take into these corners. This is where the rubber meets the road as far as what kind of bravery and familiarity you have with this machine. This is where all that familiarity with the chassis and how the tires deflect and how the car seems to build up pace and release pace over the course of a run is going to really come down to the fore here and really make it so that it's extremely challenging to race around this circuit, and these drivers are going to have to use everything they know about these cars in order to make progress.
I think they are, as you watch Osman Aspedy here making his way through that turn 3 complex. Now that is, I think, going to be one of the best opportunities to pass on the track. Turns 1 and 2, a little bit of sweepers, so watch for some action there. And Adam, you and I were talking before the broadcast that we also think that could be a danger zone on the first lap.
Absolutely, they're going to have a tendency to outbrake themselves through here, and I think, yeah, like you said, that braking into turn 3 may be one of the best places to pass, but it also might be a place to be careful because one thing to keep in mind is that one of the best things you're going to be able to do today is just survive to the end of the race. A lot of people are going to be making mistakes and causing damage to their machines, and with the new iRacing damage model, just a little tap of the wall can end your race today. So these drivers are going to be very careful tiptoeing around here, and the good ones are just going to wait for a mistake from the drivers ahead of them to try and pounce and make a pass.
Certainly sounds like my strategy whenever I jump into the sim myself is just wait for everybody else to make a mistake and hope I can get a good result from it. As we watch here, David Syrah coming around that turn 3 complex we talked about. He currently sits 3rd. His last lap was significantly off that with a 124, but his best time sitting at a 123.7. So about half a second off of Chin and Edie. He's going to be hoping to close that gap here on this next lap.
Yeah, and this cloud cover that's come in recently has cooled the track down just a little bit. Track temperature currently at 79 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 26 Celsius. 35 degrees humidity is not really going to play a factor here, but that's not much higher than the ambient temperature. So this concrete track staying relatively cool here for these drivers, and that's making them have a little bit more grip once the tires have warmed up. But before that, you're going to see these cars be very slippery around here as we watch David Syrah come around the corner, doing an excellent job of trying to manage his car, but he got a little bit loose through the fountain section.
He did, and that's a very easy place to do it. I love this sequence of turns here, that 12 and 13, sort of a decreasing speed. You can take it a lot faster than you think you can. It's a wonderful section. Now, Adam, you brought up tire wear and getting these tires up to temperature. Do you think there's going to be any benefit for doing an overcut or an undercut here tonight with temperatures the way that they are?
It's really going to depend on how the race is going for you, and also I think a lot of it's going to depend on traffic tonight, because this track is notoriously hard to deal with any sort of traffic, and with the amount of cars we have on track right now, 37 out there for this race, I think it's going to be difficult to try and manage traffic. So the overcut undercut strategy is going to be less to have to do with tire wear and more to do with where you are on track and what kind of traffic you're dealing with.
Good to know, and that's something we're going to have to keep in mind as we get through the race, as you watch reigning series points leader Joshua Chin working his way through that 4-5-6 complex there, working on those 90-degree left-handers you heard us talk about. Here he goes onto the backstretch. This is such a great backstretch to watch because it's not really a straight. It bends and it curves, and if you get offline there, it can really hurt you. As we watch here, Andrew Wood coming that's out of the fountain section on the blast down to turn 12. He's going to be looking to do better than his current time. He's sitting with 4th place time, 123.9. Comes down here, blasting over the line. Let's see what he's got.
Andrew got a little bit mixed up in the gearing through 12 and 13, so it might make his time a little bit slower, and it was a 128.5, so quite a bit slower. So I think he might have been on an outlap. Let's see whether or not he can wind up and give us a nice flyer this time around. He's currently only 0.6 off of pole, but really it's between those top two, Declan Eady and Joshua Chin. They're still only separated by that 3 1,000ths you mentioned earlier.
They are indeed, and it's going to be good to watch as you watch here Espedy going through that same complex, those final corners, trying to line it up. His time here looking like he may be able to improve. No, he's going to be about 0.6 slow, and so that's going to leave him back in 9th place currently. He's got more time. He's going to be able to make one more lap here. He can get an attempt in, so let's see what he can do as they go around again.
Yeah, Espedy trying to climb his way up to the PRL Indy Pro Series and trying to climb up this road to Indy series that PRL has going. He's had very much success in the iRacing regular Indy series, so that's why he's here in the PRL trying to give himself a little bit more of a challenge, and these pro drivers definitely proving to be challenging.
They are indeed, and we talked a little bit about the lower downforce and lower speeds in these cars, but frankly, as you see there, David Syrah getting just a hair loose coming through those final sequence of turns. He's going to be hoping to be able to improve here. He looks like he's going to be just a little bit slow on it. No, he's not. He's got a 123.4. That's going to move him up within 0.2 of Joshua Chin, but not enough to seal the deal to move him forward.
And Declan Eady goes about 1/10 faster, so he's even gained a little bit more time on Joshua Chin for that provisional pole, with currently the fastest lap sitting at a 123.168, and Declan Eady hitting the outside wall, so he's going to pull off. That's going to be the end of his qualifying. Joshua Chin just crossing the line now to start his final lap, his final attempt at trying to dethrone Eady.
Chin obviously just been the class of the field this entire time, and even when he hasn't had a good qualifying run, he has been able to just keep him cool and consistent. We saw him especially at Phoenix, the way he was just methodical working his way through the field. And so even if he's not on pole, he may be able to pull it off. But for everybody else, Adam, I've got to think that you want to maximize this starting position.
Absolutely. Track position is going to be so key around here because it's so hard to pass, so hard to get any traction down coming off of the corners, especially in these Indy 2000s. So it's going to be very difficult for these machines to get any traction down to make any passes. So David Sirah coming out of the final corner now, he's going to be trying to improve on Joshua Chin and Declan Eady even after his last lap. Let's see what kind of time he can put in.
Sirah going to try to come across the line here. He is faster indeed, but not fast enough. That's going to be a 1:23.325. That is going to keep him in third place. As you see here, Kevin Santana crossing the line, currently 15th. He is going to do much better. That is going to jump him up the field a little bit there. All the way to sixth place, currently our number one AM driver. There goes Jimmy Hume crossing the line with a 24.6. That's going to keep him in 19th place, able to move up 6 from where he was. And here comes Chin. Chin able to do a 23.264. That is better, but it is not enough for Declan Eady. Eady able to pull out the pole.
Still got some finishers coming across. Aaron Roofs improved his time up to 15th as well, so a good improvement from him. Looks like it's going to be Andres Arhaus coming around, and he'll be one of our last finishers. We still have a couple other cars on track.
We do, as you see there, Arhaus getting really, really loose coming out of that fountain section. I think that's going to cost him a little bit of time as he's going to line up for this quick right-hand flick that is turn 14. Going to come across the line with a 24.7, not able to improve. He will stay in 13th place. And now I think that's just about all of our finishers done and dusted. So let's run you through the starting grid if we can. As we mentioned, leading off tonight is going to be Declan Eady with that 1:23.1. Amazing time from him. In second place will be Joshua Chin, our reigning series points leader. Behind them lining up is going to be David Sirah and Osman Espedy in row 2. Andrew Wood coming in 5th place with Kevin Santana putting in that absolutely mega lap to come home as the top AM driver in 6th. Alex Guyon starting off in 7th, followed by Olivier Legault in 8th, Eric LeBlanc in 9th, and David Cristelli in 10th.
David Rodriguez is going to start 11th. Andre Millet, 3rd in points, is going to start off in the 12th position. Not a great starting spot for him. Then we have Anders Erhos starting off in the 13th position. Next name is going to be James Stacy. Aaron Roof's going to start off on the 8th row next to Christopher Richards. Then Michael Broomhead and Andreas Ike starting off in 18th. Jimmy Hume's going to round out 19th, and Matthew Hall rounding out your top 20.
And bringing up to start the car in 21st is going to be Nathaniel Ward. Next to him will be Dave Peterson, followed by Owen McLaughlin and Sean Duhamel in 23rd and 24th. 25th will be Matthew Gunderson, followed by Robert Besaw Jr. Paul Wildridge in 27th with Peter Hebron in 28th. Donald Olson and Adam Wright making out row 15.
And we have Barry Cochran in 31st with Don Bowden in 32nd position. Row 17 being Daniel Barrett and Barnett and David Hebert. Then we have Tyler Gore starting off in 35th, and he's our last qualifying time on the board. Then we have Tyler Scarali and Brian Matthews rounding out your 19 rows and all of your 37 starters.
It's a lot of cars to get around this tight and twisty street circuit. As you see here, they start to line up just before turn 12 on that sort of run right out of the fountain section. So not a super long pace lap here for these guys. What do we need to be watching for on this opening lap, Adam?
We need to be watching for cold tires, lots of rear end slippage on the exits of corners, and lots of front axle brake lockups into the tight turns, especially into turn 3. Everyone's got to be real gentle, real careful, and extremely patient going into turn 3. Otherwise, we're going to have a giant parking lot down there with a lot of carbon fiber.
I couldn't disagree with that anymore. And I think one guy to specifically watch during this is Kevin Santana. Like we pointed out, the top AM driver putting in that absolutely mega time. He's got guys like Guyon behind him and Legault, both who are sitting 4th and 5th in the championship. So they are going to be very anxious to get by him here as the Porsche pace car leads us around turn 12, leading Declan Eady and Joshua Chin to start off this race.
All right. There comes the Porsche pace car. It's going to be a quick start.
It will indeed, as here comes the Porsche pace car diving into that very tricky pit entrance. It'll catch you out if you're not careful. Eady gets a good jump on the field. That's going to be him taking off into the lead with Chin behind, and that's going to be Legault trying to get a move around there, but no, that's not. That's going to be everybody lining into line, everybody clearing here through 1 and 2. At least the front runners are going 2 and 3 wide. Our front runners going nice and clean. Joshua Chin making a dive to the outside here, lining up into turn 3. Is he going to have the move done over Eady? He's got the advantage. Chin does. Chin leads coming through the 3rd corner.
Very impressive pass there as the rest of the field snakes through turn 3. Everyone being very slow, very cautious, keeping my eyes on the board. Looks like most people are going to make it through there fairly cleanly, but Joshua Chin with such an aggressive move around the outside of turn 3, using that extra downforce to his advantage, and now they get back onto the back straight.
Wonderful move from Chin, just able to sweep around. He wasn't too aggressive with Eady. Really, really good. As now you can see here, Chin already starting to push his advantage, about 7/10 in front of Declan Eady. David Sarra running a little bit wide there. That's going to open up the door to Austin Espedy. Espedy is able to fight back, but Sarra is not going away easy as they're going to try to go 2x2 through that fountain section. Not going to work. That's going to be Espedy pulling out into the front there. And, little bit of contact.
And a giant pile up behind them. This is Paul Woodridge, Robert Bisson Jr., tons of cars involved in this. We'll come back to it later, but that was a massive incident.
Absolutely massive, but the leader's able to get by and through that okay, as now it looks like David Sarra trying to maybe line up Austin Espedy. A little bit angry about that as Chin crosses the line for the first lap, able to lead with that wonderful move.
Yeah, everyone trying to get through cleanly. We'd had a couple of cars with incidents. Andrew Ehrhaus making it to the pit lane safely, but Joshua Chin and Declan Eady out with 3.5 seconds over Austin Espedy, as his fight with David Sarra through the fountain section has definitely cost him a lot of time. And here's Eric LeBlanc trying to make a move there on David Cristelli, unable to do so as they go through turn 3.
Cristelli able to go up 2 positions from his starting spot. LeBlanc and Rodriguez, both pro drivers, anxious to get by Cristelli as the AM driver. They're going to be stuck behind a little bit of a train here if they're not careful as they move their way onto the backstretch.
Backstretch, a great place to pass. David Rodriguez with a great opportunity looking at the back of LeBlanc, but he's going to have to outbrake him into the corner. And this is a very challenging braking zone as it sweeps to the left there, and he's going to think better of it and decide to stay behind. A good conservative play there.
And you do not want to try to go too wide through that fountain section, as we saw in that previous lap with Bisson and Wildridge and Hebert just really, really getting into each other. Getting on the brakes here for that tight and twisting turn 11 as we blast now down towards turn 12. Rodriguez not really able to get anything going here. He's just going to have to line up as Cristelli continues to lead. Kevin Santana, our top-rated AM driver in qualifying, by the way, just a point of note, is down 7 positions to P13, so terrible opening lap for him.
Yeah, he's also getting passed by Christopher Richards at this point, so something's definitely not right with Kevin Santana. He gets passed by Richards and Aaron Roofs, so unfortunately, definitely those first couple opening laps really doing poorly for Santana, down 8 positions now, back down to 15th spot.
And he's about to be down 9 as Michael Broomhead makes a move down to the inside of him. Getting by, he looks like he is standing still. That's Andreas Eick moving by him as well.
He definitely is, and looks like Donald Olson also had some problems. He's removed his left rear suspension from the car. Unfortunately, he's going to be snaking back to the pits and managing to do so just barely. That's Andreas Eick trying to challenge Michael Broomhead up ahead of them, and Andre Millet's around. 3rd place in the championship points is around on the back straightaway on the exit. I believe this might have been self-inflicted.
I was watching it, and it indeed was self-inflicted. You see him here coming through that twisty, tight section, that series of 90 degrees. Here he goes, coming through there, and then he's going to move it on to turn 6. Just gets the power down a little bit too early, and whee, there he goes. Looks like he was able to keep it off the wall, so no damage for him. He will be able to keep going.
No damage to the car, but damage to his pride and damage to his race chances, considering he's now down in 27th position. He's going to have a lot of space to make up. And we've had a big wreck as well. Looks like Aaron Roos has had some contact. He's lost a lot of his suspension. He's just trying to crawl it back to the pits at this point, but that was some major contact.
Major contact with that wall as Kevin Santana also diving into the pits. We can watch it on the replay, this tricky fountain section. A little bit of a break in front of him. It forced everybody to check up. He's going to be going down here, tries to make a dive. Oh, that's going to get a little bit spicy there and just misses that apex right into the wall.
And just tons of contact with the cars behind as well. Carbon fiber flying everywhere for these drivers.
Indeed it is. As you see here, Declan Eady not letting Joshua Chin get too far away from him. That gap seesawing around the 1 second mark, but Eady not letting it cross over that 1 second. So I definitely think Eady can make a challenge here, and he may just be playing it a little safe for right now.
Yeah, it is seesawing back and forth. These guys are trading fastest laps. Joshua Chin's fastest lap was the last one he was on. Declan Eady's fastest was the lap previous, and it was only about a 100th off. So very intense stuff between these drivers.
Very intense indeed. And speaking of intense, we're going to jump back to that replay on the opening lap to see what happened there that caused that big kerfluffle.
Yeah, this was a gigantic kerfluffle as they came towards the at the end of the back straight going into the fountain section, and this was just an outbraking moment there that ended up with two cars just getting together a little bit. We're going to take a look at this once again. Yeah, so just some outbraking, some drivers, outbraking themselves, getting into the barriers, and it just ends up being a stack up at the entrance to the fountain section.
And that's unfortunately what you can see happen when you go on any sort of street course. As we head back now, jumping up to the battle for P8, Eric LeBlanc able to get by Olivier Legault. Now that's got some championship implications there as LeBlanc looks to put the power down, and David Rodriguez able to kind of start to take a look at Olivier Legault here as they make their way onto the backstretch. These guys are getting a little feisty.
LeBlanc and Rodriguez battling for that 10th position in the points. Currently, Rodriguez holds that position of 10th with Legault in 11th, but Rodriguez is looking on the back of Legault. Legault looks like he's struggling a little bit at this stage in the race. 38 minutes to go.
Everybody's seeming to just be trading bad laps for good laps here as you see one guy pull out ahead and one guy pull out behind. This whole battle here, P6 rather, all the way back to P10, really shaping up. That bright blue car in front is David Cristelli, our top-rated AM driver, followed by Alex Guyon, and then that LeBlanc-Legault-Rodriguez battle. Really good stuff here. One of the closest battles we have on track.
Absolutely. Declan Eady putting in another fastest lap up there in the battle with Joshua Chin. So things getting very intense. We've already lost 10 cars to damage, significant damage right now. Kevin Santana in and amongst them. Remember, he started off our best AM driver, Andre Millette, 3rd place in the points. So many cars out right now.
Well, Adam, you certainly called it right that this is going to be a war of attrition, it looks like, tonight. As there you see Dave Peterson trying to work his way around Andreas Ike, but that's going to open him up to Matthew Hall behind him, maybe try to make a move through that turn 5-6 complex.
I think patience is going to be the name of the game here. Last thing you want to do is open yourself up to an opportunity to be passed because of just how challenging the track position is around here. So Matthew Hall looking at an opportunity on Dave Peterson because Dave Peterson thought he had an opportunity on Andreas Ike.
Yeah, you can't make that move too early, and if you do, it'll just open up the door to all sorts of passing behind you. Now, Adam, as we quote-unquote have a free moment here, what do you think the pit window is going to be for these guys here tonight?
It's going to be very difficult, but we need to jump up to a battle up ahead. That's David Sirwell making the move on Austin Espedy. Espedy's going to want to come back at him, though, trying to hold on to that 3rd position. He's going to have to go around the outside here of 14 and turn 1. Always a challenging move. He's not really going to be able to get it done. Sirwell carries more speed through the corner, but can Austin Espedy get him back on the exit? No, he can. He actually loses a little bit of traction. Andrew Wood coming up the outside into turn 3 now. Who's going to be better on the brakes?
We'll have to see as it Wood looks like he's clearly got the advantage. He's going to be able to put it down and jump up into that 4th place position. And now he's going to start to take a look at David Sirwell. If he can keep the power down and keep it nice and easy here through 5 and 6, he may be able to have a run down the backstretch for Andrew Wood.
Andrew Wood being able to sneak through getting that position on Espedy before they got to turn 3. But man, they're on the edge of traction at this point. David Sirwell and Andrew Wood. I can report Christopher Richards in the AM class had a self-spin, ended up taking out his left rear suspension. He's back in the pits, but this battle between Woods and Sirwell very intense right now for that 3rd position. Wow, Sirwell very good on the brakes there.
Very good to keep everything nice and tidy through that tricky fountain section where we've seen a bunch of problems happening. Wood forced to back off a little bit. That may open him up now to Austin Espedy on this last lap, as it looks like Sirwell has been able to pull out a little bit of a gap there, just the minorest of ones, and now Espedy hoping to close down.
Espedy trying to recover, but his start has just not been great, unfortunately. Trying to make up those positions, unfortunately, for Espedy as they cross the line yet again. David Sirwell, Andrew Wood, and Austin Espedy. Oh, we've had another wreck. Jimmy Hume has gone around. Michael Broomhead as well.
Ooh, that looks like it's coming out of there just on near the pit lane as we're going to watch the replay here.
So this is Broomhead. I think these might be 2 separate incidents because Broomhead just gets loose hitting the curbing on the exit of 13.
He does. You see him running there on 12, hits it on 13. He's going to go around. Looks like he's able to pretty much save it. Yeah, no damage to Broomhead there. He's able to back up, keep going flat. So that just looks like a self-spin from Broomhead.
And Hume, this is Hume going into turn 12. It's going to be, we're coming through the fountain section now and then going through the tight right-hander of turn 11. And this is that heavy braking that we talked about with 12. It's so hard to do. He just ends up getting too deep into the corner and ends up hitting the outside barriers. You see it lock up those front tires. The rear tries to overtake the front, and he hits the outside very hard.
That'll wake you up in the morning, unfortunately. That's a hard hit for him. As you see here, this is the gap between the leader. Chin had it out to about a second, but Indy able to claw back those 2/10. Now Chin able to put the power down. That's a little bit of lap traffic getting in the way there. I believe that's Paul Wildridge that they had to work their way around. How much is lap traffic going to play a problem here, Adam?
It's going to play a gigantic problem. As you see, Joshua Chin having to take evasive action because Brian Matthews couldn't decide which side of the road he was going to take. They're getting into drivers who are battling for position at this point, DJ. This is where things are going to get very intense between Joshua and Edie. And if Joshua doesn't keep his eyes on those rearview mirrors, Declan and Edie might take an opportunity here.
And good move there. That was David Hebert getting out of the way on the backstretch, recognizing that he needed to let these leaders by. And you see there through all of that, Edie able to claw back another 0.2 of a second. He's got that gap down to about 0.6, 0.5. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, Declan and Edie doing a good job of trying to hang on to the back of Joshua Chin. All he needs to do is do that until they get up to the next AM driver. But the next AM driver is 22 seconds up the road, so Declan and Edie might need to get this job done before they get up there. But wow, he's got some very aggressive brake bias turned into that thing. He's got that thing very tail happy, which is actually helping him get some power down. But how much is that going to affect his rear tire temperatures and his rear tire wear over the course of the race?
I don't know if it is or not. We'll have to see as the pit window, I believe, is going to be opening here in about 10 or 15 minutes, so we'll have to see what that does. Now, I want to bring attention back here to David Cristelli in 6th place. Cristelli is our top AM driver. He has been absolutely flooring it, catching up about a second a lap faster than Austin Espedy. You can see there Cristelli in that light teal car and Espedy in that darker blue number 7. Cristelli now getting onto the back of Espedy and really starting to hassle him.
That's one thing that's definitely going to frustrate Espedy. He definitely thinks that he's faster than these AM drivers. He's not going to want to let Cristelli go by, so Cristelli's going to have to work hard at this position. Unless Espedy makes a mistake, he slips up, coming through turn 4. Now on the exit of 5, or rather of 6 here. Cristelli onto the back straightaway. Can't quite get the exit that he was hoping for, but Austin Espedy almost sending it into the barriers there.
Very lucky from Espedy that he was able to keep it in line there as Cristelli able to claw back there, get within 0.5 as we got to jump up forward here for P3 as Andrew Wood and David Sirwell are neck and neck coming through the fountain section. Sirwell was a little bit tentative on the brakes, diving down into turn 7, and that opened up the door for Andrew Wood to really close up.
They've got David Hebert coming up as a lapped car. This is going to be very challenging. They're going to catch him. Okay, David's going to pull over to the side of the road, let these two guys battle continue. That's a great move there. As they go through 14, it's going to be very tight between Serwa and Wood. Wood seems to be getting better exits of the corners, which is definitely helping him on the battle with Serwa. Serwa gets a decent run through 1 and 2, though. This is going to create a little bit of a gap.
He is, but I think that slightly different angle that you saw Wood take through there is helping him as you look and see how much he's closing up through the braking section. Concertina effect, not even enough to account for how close Wood is able to get, just so much stronger on the brakes. As we're going to jump back here to David Cristelli now, trying to make a move on Austin Espedy. We'll have to see if Lightning can strike twice and Cristelli can make the move coming off of turn 6.
Absolutely, Cristelli trying to come off of turn 6 effectively. Unfortunately, not quite close enough. It's going to be tight between him and Espedy. And it's going to be tight between Wood and Serwa. Wood's actually going to make the move going through the sharp turn 8 there. It's going to be very tight there as Wood is able to pass Serwa before they get to the fountain section.
That thus far is going to be tied for the move of the race here, as you're going to see the onboard as we go through. This is Andrew Woods on board. He gets a really good run off at turn 6, able to tuck up right behind in that draft. Pull forward. He's going to jerk out here to the right side. That's the inside line of the corner. Better on the brakes, able to get right to that apex, bump the car, and not being too aggressive, just force David Serwa a little bit wide. Wonderful run there from Wood.
It gave Serwa enough time to see the move, but not enough time to react to it. And Serwa gave him the room to get the pass done. Great job from all of these drivers to make sure that they run their race cleanly. And fantastic move there from Andrew Wood to make that pass. He's definitely better on the brakes, like you said, and he used that to his advantage.
He did, and he's already pulled out about a 0.7 of a second advantage over Serwa, so he's going to really start to push forward. The only problem being is that Declan Eady and Joshua Chin in that battle for P1, they're 15 seconds ahead of him. So that's going to be a little bit tricky for him to try to catch up here.
And all this time that Austin Espedy has spent trying to hold off David Cristelli has actually led to Eric LeBlanc catching back up to these drivers. So that battle for 5th place is now 3 cars long, as Cristelli's gotten very close to Espedy, but just has not been able to make a move. He's not getting better exits than Espedy, which is causing him to stay behind. Espedy looks like he hit the right rear tire a little bit on the exit of that corner going into this fountain section. Let's see whether or not that holds him up enough. A nice crossover move from Cristelli. Is he going to try and outbrake him through this turn here through 12? No.
Discretion, the better part of valor. That is not really having enough braking zone, I think, for Cristelli to try to make a move. He's going to try to line him up here. If I'm him, I'm going to try to make that move down into the 3rd corner. The only problem is that's Eric LeBlanc now, only about 0.4 back of David Cristelli. He's kind of opened himself up to that behind him, as you see here, riding on board with LeBlanc. They're going to stretch out a little bit, and now Cristelli getting a good advantage of the draft. Not enough to push ahead towards Espedy, but enough to close the door and make Espedy sweat a little bit more.
Alex Guyon is now joining into this battle as well as we ride on board of Eric LeBlanc. Guyon is currently behind LeBlanc by about a second, but he's definitely going to be into this battle if these guys can't get past Espedy, who's holding them up at the moment, unfortunately.
He certainly is, as we've got to jump up to the lead here, as Declan Eady is all... Oh, no, there's a move. My bad. I'm sorry. That is the move coming in to take over David Cristelli. Eric LeBlanc going to dive. That's going to be the outside line going into turn 7. He's going to try to hold it. They're going to get close. LeBlanc's going to have the preferred line through that left-hand sweep, and he's got it. He's got by Cristelli.
Cristelli's trying to make the move yet once again on the inside through the fountain section. Nothing doing there. Cristelli's going to have to move back into a position. Alex Guyon's going to try and get a move going up forward, so it's going to be fascinating to see how these drivers hold on to this, but Cristelli looking like he's been behind. Ooh, man, that was a scary moment from Guyon behind. Guyon's going to be recovered, but that was close. But, man, trying to pass Austin Espedy has been a real challenge, and LeBlanc's going to give it another shot, but, man, Cristelli's tucked in right behind him.
He is. I think he may have a chance to make the move into turn 3 here. Cristelli fuming at himself, but that is LeBlanc able to get a little bit of better of a run off of turn 2. Cristelli's going to have to be super late on the brakes here to make this work. They get into the braking zone. Cristelli's right up his tail. Thought he was going to run into him there. Able to back off. No contact between the two, but Cristelli's just going to line up right through there through that 5-6 section. Maybe try to get a run off of 6.
I can report that Matthew Hall just passed James Stacy for P11 going into the same corner. So a lot of moves being made here as we get closer and closer to the pit window for these drivers. As they go 3 here, we're going to replay this pass once again. This is the pass of Matthew Hall on James Stacy. This was a great setup from Hall as he exited 2.
Oh, just incredibly smart use of the track there, running a little bit wide through 1 and 2 to deliberately try to get it. Gets that perfect draft, more power down, dives to the inside, late on the brakes. He's got the line, and bada bing, there he goes. So great moves there. And you see him here as they continue to travel around the track through that tricky stadium section. Just a quick check-in up front as Declan Eady continues to threaten Joshua Chin. He keeps bringing that down. Chin will get a little bit loose coming off of a corner here and there, and then suddenly turn in a fastest lap of the race just to spite yours truly. So Chin currently holding the gap down, but Eady just biding his time, waiting for Chin to make a mistake.
Oh, let go! Legault's had a huge incident, and he's currently in the pits with major suspension damage.
As we're going to jump back here to watch the replay, that's Legault in the center of your screen. He's going to get a little bit squirrely there. Comes on, gets on the power coming off of turn 13. He's going to dive it down here through 14, across the start-finish line. That almost looks like it's an equipment failure.
Either an equipment failure or a braking failure, because he lost the brakes going into 1. We're going to see it right here. He was definitely trying to hold off the car behind, ends up causing him some major issues. Here we go once again as they go through turn 13 and 14.
As you can just see this, he comes in, and there they go as they're going to start to do it. Now, something to keep in mind here, Chin is undefeated this season. He has been able to pull away from every single race we have seen him run. The only exception to that was Phoenix, but as our viewers know, that was a bit of a caution fest, so we're not really going to take that one into account. This is the best chance anybody has had to beat Joshua Chin this year. Can Declan Eady finally be the one to break Joshua Chin's spell?
Just to report, Austin Espedy, one of our first people up front to take a pit stop. He's currently in for regularly scheduled service, so this will be his pit stop that will take him to the end of the race. He comes up and he is going to take tires, so he's definitely going to be headed to the end of the race on this stop.
It's an interesting call from Espedy, especially considering just how much he was seeming to hold everybody up, Guyon and Cristelli behind him, and LeBlanc. So we'll have to see what happens. That's a surprisingly long stop from him, though. I wonder if he got a pit lane speeding penalty.
Maybe a possibility for sure, but we jump back up to the battle for the lead between Chin and Eady, and man, they just continue to waffle back and forth on lap times. Chin just seems to pull out a gap, and then Eady, wow, Eady looking very loose on power at this point, so it's going to be interesting to see when these drivers decide to drop in. I don't think they're going to use Austin Espedy as a barometer for that, considering Espedy's still in pit lane, possibly getting repairs done. I'll have to take a look and see what happened before he came in.
I'm not sure. That one I think certainly missed it, but we're going to have to see what goes on here. And just a reminder to our viewers that normal stops take about 9 or 10 seconds, so that, where it stands now for Espedy, an 85-second pit stop in time in pit lane, not good. But that is Eric LeBlanc diving on into the pits here as he is the second of our lead pack to pull off.
And he's going to come past Austin Espedy and wonder why Espedy's still sitting there. I think everybody is. Espedy finally getting out at a 1:19.5 second. 1 minute 19.5 stop. So quite a long stop. Eric LeBlanc currently in the pits, and he's in there for a while too. 14 seconds, finally comes out. So a little bit longer on fuel than what we were expecting.
Adam, is it possible that these guys have been suffering from a little bit of damage that we just haven't noticed, and that's what they're having to get done? Maybe a front wing change or something like that.
I mean, it's entirely possible. This track is absolutely unforgiving. If you make one mistake or clip one curb the wrong way, you're going to lose a wing or bend a wing, and that could affect your straight line speed. So things can be very challenging for these drivers. Looks like Nathaniel Ward and Daniel Barrett are both going to be in for their scheduled stops as well. Oh no, that was Tyler Scarelli. He hit the outside wall of the. Oh, he's going to spin. Oh my goodness, that was close.
Oh my goodness, that is a replay. Everybody is safe and through that, but if you notice those two cars that came through on him, those were our leaders, Joshua Chin and Declan Eady. So those guys' heartbeats raised about 20 beats per minute there. Tyler Scaretti spinning in front of them. Now that helped close the gap up for Eady. He had it down to about 0.2 of a second, but Chin now able to pull it out to about 3 or 4 tenths and 5 here even. So Chin really just trying to put the power down. I think that may mean that Chin is going to be on his way in here pretty soon if he's putting this much power down this quick.
And they're closing up on the damaged Sean Duhamel, who had a moment coming through turn 4, ended up hitting the inside wall after a spin. He's currently on a recovery drive. Let's see how he manages to let these guys through. But the fountain section, it's so hard to let anybody through here. That's going to hold up Joshua Chin. Eady looking on with hungry eyes, trying to make a pass here.
Chin is going to be absolutely furious with Duhamel there. That just completely scuppered his race as there comes Eady right up behind him. Chin able to pull away a little bit through that 12 and 13 section, but Eady right behind him. Now this is all going to come down to the exit of turn 2. If Eady can get the power down right, he may finally have the run on Chin.
Eady's got to get a nice setup. Look at that. He's sweeping wide, but is he going to clip the inside apex? He is. He's going to try and exit. Not a good enough exit, though. It looks like we've had 2 more fake folks wreck as James Stacy and Matthew Hall. Doesn't look like Eady's going to get there.
No, I think Eady's tires are really starting to go here as the ambient temperature has eked up, or the track temperature has eked up to about 81 degrees Fahrenheit. So tire wear starting to play in just a little bit here, and I think that there's a little bit of graining, a little bit of gone going on with Declan Eady's tires, just not able to get the power down when he needs to.
We're going to take a look at Hall. This was a wreck coming through turn 12. And this was an incident that caused a little bit of consternation from some of the drivers for sure, because James Stacy ended up coming upon this wreck and wham, just wedges into that side pod.
I understand that James Stacy's upset by that, but there was nowhere for Hall to go. Even if you are on the tow button right away, there is nothing he could have done there to get out of the way. As we're going to follow here with Chin and Eady once more. You see Chin starting to push a little bit of an advantage here. I'm going to be curious to see if Eady's going to dive down. No, they're both going to stay out here for another lap. Just a quick update behind them. David Cristelli, Alex Guyon, David Rodriguez, Eric LeBlanc, they have all pitted. And in the course of all of that, Eric LeBlanc has dropped down. Rodriguez able to get around him for 10th place.
And that's because Eric LeBlanc's pit stop was 14 seconds long versus David Rodriguez, which was 5. So that big 10-second difference in the pit lane has ended up being a 2-second difference on track for these drivers. So quite a big difference in pit lane is definitely coming out to play as far as the track position is concerned.
Well, I'm going to put on my old pit lane reporter hat here, Adam, and say if David Rodriguez was only stationary for 5 seconds, I'm not sure that that's enough fuel to get through. So he is going to have to be one. He is going to be one that we're going to have to watch the rest of this race to see just what he is able to do. If he's going to have to do some serious lifting and coasting, because I do not think a 5-second stationary stop is enough.
Owen McLaughlin's coming in, so is Alex Guyon. They're both into the pit lane for their regularly scheduled stops. Our leader's still out there. Everyone through P6 still on track through Dave Peterson. So everyone's still trying to circulate and get those times in, but most people are very separated with the exception of our top 2 of Joshua Chin and Declan Eady.
They are indeed, as you see here, them snaking their way around. That is the number 7 of Austin Espedy getting a little bit loose through there. As Joshua Chin is the first to dive into the pits from the leaders. You can see him there.
And that really surprises me because I thought Declan Eady's tires were bad enough that he would want to come in, but he's going to try and get another lap done and possibly get the overcut done, but he's got a lot of lap traffic ahead of him that might be holding him up. Let's see how long Joshua Chin's pit stop is because that's going to determine how long Eady can spend in the pits. Chin, 7.2 seconds, a nice split between our fastest and some of our middle of the road pit lane takers. So if Declan Eady only takes 5 seconds of fuel, he might have an opportunity to take 2 seconds out of Joshua Chin.
2 seconds would definitely put him in front, but the only thing he's got to worry about is he has a whole bunch of lap traffic in front of him. That may be the reason why Chin decided to pit then to avoid any of that. But as you see here, Declan Eady coming through the fountain section, I don't know if he's going to catch this in time. Edie may have caught this right. Ooh, that looked like a slowdown there from Edie. Had to kind of get on the brakes, catch the car a little bit. He is just slipping and sliding his way through there.
Yeah, he definitely needs to come in and hopefully get some tires and some fresh fuel in that thing. But let's see what kind of a time he does in the pit stop as far as the fuel is concerned. Here he comes down the straightaway. He's going to duck in this time, and so is Adam right ahead of him. He's going to maximize that pit lane entry, and now getting onto the limiter, he's going to ride it all the way down to his pit box, which will be quite a ways down the field.
And Joshua Chin now going to have to put in some absolute power laps to try to catch up. Is he going to be able to do it? We'll have to see. Chin coming through 12 and 13 right now. Edie getting ready to get moving here. This is going to be close, ladies and gentlemen.
5.3 second stop from Declan Edie. It's that 2 seconds faster than I was expecting, and Declan Edie's going to come out ahead, but it's not 2 seconds on track. It's more like 1.5, but he does have the gap. But is that enough? Is that enough fuel? It's going to be tight for him to the end, considering he's going to be out front without any draft to help him with that fuel assistance, and Joshua Chin charging behind.
Joshua Chin charging very, very hard, but I gotta think if Edie was running low on tire life, only having to run for 15 minutes on these tires will help him, as we are getting some reports from our wonderful GSRC statisticians saying that 5 seconds is enough time, so I take apologies for that. That should be able to get through Edie as well as Rodriguez through to the end, so we're gonna have to keep an eye. This is all gonna have to be done on track for Joshua Chin.
It definitely is, and most of our battles have been separated by that pit lane cycle, so we'll wait for them to get back into gear. But Joshua Chin's going to have to charge onto the back of Declan Edie to get this job done. It's all going to be left on track here with 14 minutes to go.
It most certainly will be, as you see Chin there trying to get the power down, trying to catch up behind him, but he is still about 1.5, 1.6 seconds back, both of them on new tires, and whoo, that is a great little series of corners there for Declan Edie, able to grow that advantage out to about a 1.8. So Edie really, really able to start pushing, putting the power down here, and prove why he was on pole for this race.
And I just went back and looked at Declan Edie's pit stop, and he never went up on the jacks. I'll have to take a look at Joshua Chin's to see whether or not he did, but that could be the difference. But at this point, Declan Edie is putting together some great times as going through the corners, and has pulled that gap back out to 2 seconds. So if he can keep putting in these times and forcing Joshua Chin back further behind, he might be in trouble.
Might be. What's going to be interesting to see is if he loses any grip when he gets into the lap traffic, as now he's going to be coming up upon the number 7 of Tyler Gore in front. So there, Gore getting out of the way very smartly. Let's see if he stays off for Chin. It looks like he is. So Chin is going to be able to get through there as well. Gap down to about 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, and Chin did take tires on that pit stop, so this will make things very interesting when we get to the end of this race. Declan Edie on those older tires, they definitely seem to be going off for him towards the end of that run, but maybe it was just running in the dirty air of Joshua Chin. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens as we get towards the end of this race.
It will indeed. I'm not sure exactly if it was the dirty air, if it was the tires, as Edie's suffering from a huge slip and slide coming out of the fountain section. But we will have to see. Chin able to get the gap down to about 1.3 seconds. As Adam, you were talking about it, it looks like Chin's tires are coming back to life now, and this may be where the pendulum swings to Chin.
Well, they're starting to come to life, because with those fresh tires, he is going to have a couple of laps where he's not going to be as fast as Edie, but once they get up to temperature, he's going to have a lot more grip on the exits of the corners from those rear tires, unless he spins out. Oh my goodness, he does clip the front wing just a little bit, sitting in the middle of the track. Tyler Gore's going to have to go around him. Joshua Chin backing up. He's going to get going once again and retain second place, but there's that opportunity for the win gone.
I am sitting here speechless as we watch a replay from the normally picture-perfect Joshua Chin. You see him dive down here into that third corner, gets it nice and easy on the rumble strips, going to line up for turn 4. He got onto the grass. He got his left side tires over onto the grass, and that's what spun him around even before the apex. My goodness! I have never seen Joshua Chin make a mistake in any race in this series, and that is by far one of the biggest that I have seen.
And that's where you just wish you had a crew chief in your ear saying to you, Edie didn't take tires, just be consistent. We'll be right on the back of him by the time this race is over. Unfortunately, Chin pushing hard to try and catch up to Edie, drops a tire, and ends up 12 seconds back.
But don't worry, folks. Joshua Chin and Declan Eady had been setting such a blistering pace that Andrew Wood, our third-place driver, is only about 11 seconds back from Chin. So it looks like Chin, barring any other error, will be able to keep that second place. As you see here, Wood working his way around some lap traffic to start his fresh lap.
Andrew Wood, on the other hand, may not be clear of trouble because he's got David Sirwa only about 1.5 seconds behind, and Sirwa has been gaining just a little bit. His last lap was a 1:24.6 versus Andrew Wood's 1:24.8. So if he can continue on that pace, he might have a podium here if he tries to work at it.
Sirwa, obviously a veteran of this series, able to put the power down when he needs to, about 1.6, 1.7 seconds back. You see him here working his way, trying to get around Barnett there, that lapped car in front of him. Barnett, I hope, is going to pull off to the side here onto the backstretch, gives Sirwa plenty of space. He does indeed, gets a little bit of a draft there. But it's still going to delay Sirwa. He's now about to a 2-second gap up to Andrew Wood. This is pretty much our closest battle on track right now, is this battle for third place.
There's also a decent battle for 14th with the recovering Austin Espedy, who's trying to make up positions. He almost actually gets into the back there of Daniel Barrett coming into the fountain section. That was the battle for position I was talking about. So Barrett definitely off pace here. Austin trying to recover, but he's only gained one position since having that minute-long pit stop, unfortunately. Speaking of pit stops and attrition, we've had 14 drivers quit out of this race, unfortunately, due to damage, so it has been a major war of attrition out there.
It certainly has, Adam, and you called that from the start with all those guys checking out, as we have about 9 minutes left to go here in this race. And just to recap, Declan Eady is out in front following a quick pit stop where he did not take tires and a spin from Joshua Chin. Behind him is going to be Andrew Wood, David Sirwa, and the top-rated AM driver, David Cristelli, rounding out our top 5 as you start to see everybody working their way through that fountain section, that tricky section where we have seen everything go down.
Yeah, so hard to keep the rear tires in traction through that fountain section. It's that medium speed, hard, tight radius corner through that bumpy fountain section that's always causing these drivers trouble. But it's just so difficult to keep the traction around there, and especially for those drivers that did their 5-second stops and didn't take any tires, they're really going to be feeling it towards the end of this race, and they might be close to a second to lap slower. But that being said, with the fuel burn off, I don't know, it could even out.
It could, and as we stand right now, Declan Eady, one of those cars that did not take tires, his last lap was a 24.5. Joshua Chin's last lap, a 23.4. So you were right about that full second pretty much happening there, Adam.
Yeah, but that being said, it's just not enough time. With only 7.5 minutes left of this race, he just doesn't have enough time to catch back up to Declan Eady, much less pass him on one of the most difficult tracks to pass when it comes to this type of car. So it's unfortunate for Chin they pushed that early, because think about it now. If he would have waited until now to push, he would have had a great opportunity to get past Declan Eady, considering he's lapping over a second faster than him.
He would be, and it's just an absolute heartbreak for Joshua Chin, who hasn't put a tire wrong this entire season, to see him get up onto the grass there. So barring anything from Declan Eady, it looks like this could be his, as you see some lap traffic getting out of the way there for Eady. Now, he didn't take tires. Could we be seeing a situation where his tires are completely bare and he is slipping and sliding, and maybe, God forbid, something happens to him by the end of the race? Is that totally illogical?
Oh, no, that's not totally logical. It happened to Joshua Chin, who you said yourself is unflappable. So absolutely we could see Declan Eady make a mistake and bring Joshua Chin back into the picture. But if I'm Joshua Chin, I'm not relying on that. I've got to try and make up as much time as possible, or I just need to relax, remember that finishing the race is the goal, and take home the points for second.
Exactly, and I think if I'm Joshua Chin at this point, I'm going to be very much looking at that championship lead. I don't want to put another toe wrong, and I just want to focus on the fact that I will still be in the lead by the end of it. As you watch here, Michael Broomhead working his way down that backstretch.
Yeah, Michael Broomhead currently the third driver on of the AM class on track right now. Dave Peterson currently the first in 9th place. Dave has about 10 seconds, 11 seconds now over Owen McClellan, who is second place in the AM Championship. Dave Peterson currently leading the AM Championship, so he's in a position to get a couple more points over Owen when this race is over, so long as he can finish in his current position.
He does, and it'll be interesting. I do want to draw attention back here to a battle.
Oh no!
Oh!
Edie's hit the wall! He outbraked himself into 12!
Oh my goodness! Another surprise here at Detroit as we watch the replay of Declan Eady working his way through the fountain section. Adam, we talked about what could happen with those tires not taking a new set. You see him here working his way out. He just tries to get the power down as best he can. He's going to go down here towards turn 12, and this is where it comes apart. Just no braking force at all.
He just locks up the rear tires as well as the front left. Everything goes wrong for him. So that leaves Joshua Chin, leader of this race, 15 seconds over Declan Eady, our 15th driver to DNF due to damage. Oh my goodness.
I am not going to say anything about these leading drivers here because I feel like I am the bad luck here tonight. But Joshua Chin, 14 seconds ahead of Andrew Wood and David Sirah. Oh my goodness. Adam, I'm still in shock right now.
It's both Joshua Chin and Declan Eady making mistakes after having such strong races. I mean, it's just so unusual for these drivers up at the front to make these kinds of mistakes, but at the same time, when you're racing that hard, you tend to be prone to those mistakes happening. Joshua Chin looking to be a little bit on edge still. Frankly, he could just back off and coast because at this point, he's putting in laps that are about 0.6 faster than the driver behind him, so he doesn't need to push anymore.
No, he doesn't, and Chin comfortably ahead in both qualifying and race pace of these guys. As you see there, our second place finisher, Andrew Wood, able to put in those really, really good drives early in the race to get around LeBlanc and that was, I'm losing my mind, Austin Espedy. And so Wood here inheriting second place from the accident of Declan Eady. Really just, this race is just absolutely a war of attrition and nobody being spared from it.
Absolutely not. I was just looking at Austin Espedy after he made that move on Tyler Gore, and he's actually just a couple seconds behind Andrew Wood and David Sirah as we see him on screen now going through turn 3, and that car for him is looking to be very tight. He's having a hard time keeping that front end pointed towards the center of the corners, and it's leading him to nearly hit the wall on the exit of a couple of these, almost getting it loose there. It's so tight, it's snapping loose for him through these corners. So a lot of these drivers are really struggling on tire wear at the end of this race.
They very much are. Now, Adam, I know these are open setups, so they're able to make some changes as the car goes along. Is that something he can maybe adjust through the brake bias change at all?
I mean, normally I'd say yes, but with the sensitivity of this car for brake bias, it's going to be so difficult for him to adjust it in a way that's really going to make an effect. As Joshua Chin comes across the line for 2 to go, currently leading by 15.5 seconds, Austin Espedy might just be stuck with what he has at this point.
I don't think there's much there for him. As there you see Chin making his way out of turn 2. For only one more time he's got to make this section of tarmac work. He's going to go in to that tight turn 3 right-hander. He's really and truly going to be thinking about getting his tires over on the grass there like last time, so he is just absolutely trying to play it safe here. So you can see there, great onboard shot here by our director, Joe Peak. You can really see just how much he has to sort of fight the car coming around these bumps and bruises here at Detroit.
Yeah, Dougie Beard's fantastic cameras giving us a great sense of the speed and the ability from these drivers. They're hitting 145 by the time they hit the braking zone for these corners. So these things, even though they may not be Formula One or Indy cars, they are not slow at all.
No, they're not slow, and they are a whole lot of fun to drive. And I can't help but notice here that it looks like Chin has calmed down a little bit. He's not being super aggressive on any sort of curbing, so he may have heeded our advice and is just trying to be very slow, calm, cool, and collected here as he's going to come to the line to get the white flag.
I mean, you say that, but he's the only one still lapping in the 123s, and one of two drivers who have lapped in the 123s this entire race. The other one, one of three. Andrew Wood has also lapped in the 123s, and Declan Eady. But Joshua Chin, still the only driver still lapping in the 123s at this point in the race. So if he's backed off at all, I mean, he's still going very quickly.
I think for Joshua, it's just one of those things you can't turn it off, even if he tries to be a little less aggressive on the curbing, and he's still able to go that fast. As you see him here for the final time, snaking his way through that tricky 5-6 section and onto the backstretch, watching out for the wall there as he's really going to go. And something to keep in mind here, everybody, is there's only 10 cars on the lead lap. Now, we've had the massive attrition across this field, but 10 cars on the lead lap, even on a track like Detroit, is just an incredibly low number.
Yeah, very low number for sure. And to be honest, you're going to see it when it comes to the stats here. Look at that. Joshua Chin just completely backing off as he goes around Barry Cochran. Doesn't want to risk it here. He's into the final portion of this lap. Joshua Chin, even after making that mistake, taking advantage of what we said at the beginning, just finishing the race, and just his consistency and being able to get to the finish is what's going to take him to the win today.
And take him to the win. And indeed he's going to do as he works his way around that final sweeping right-hander to shake the checkered flag here in Detroit. Joshua Chin, your winner by over 17 seconds. Wonderful drive here from him as you see Andrew Wood now making his way out of that final complex, going to take the sweeping right-hander to cross the line to bring that car, 32 car, home in second place. David Sarah, 4 seconds behind him, going to come home in third.
Yeah, Cristelli also doing a great job. Our first AM driver to cross the line, David Cristelli, doing an excellent job coming home in fourth. David Rodriguez, having made a mistake, puts him down to fifth position, just a couple of seconds ahead of Eric LeBlanc.
As we watch the final cars here crossing over the line as they go, we are going to take a quick break here on GSRC, but we will be back with post-race and interviews, so don't anybody go anywhere. Welcome back to Belle Isle Raceway here in Detroit, as that was one of the most exciting and action-filled races we've seen in a very long time here for the PRL Indy Pro 2000 Series. As we're going to run you through the final finishing order. Joshua Chin able to bring the car home despite suffering that major spin we saw. In second place, Andrew Wood, who drove an incredible first half of the race to put himself into that second place position after the pit stops. Behind him, David Serwa, who did not have an easy race as well, able to bring it home third. Our top-rated AM driver, David Cristelli, in fourth. And bringing up the rest of the field, that's going to be David Rodriguez in fifth, Eric LeBlanc in sixth, Andreas Ike in seventh, Dave Peterson in eighth, Alex Guyon in the ninth, and Owen McLaughlin working his way up from way back in the field to come home 10th.
He's the last one on the lead lap, with Michael Broomhead being the first car a lap down. Austin Espedy trying to recover from that early spin, comes home in the 12th position. Then we have Tyler Gore coming home in 13th, Daniel Barnett coming home in 14th position, and Barry Cochran in 15th. Paul Wilders is going to come home in 16th spot, with Sean Duhamel coming home in 17th after an early spin from him. Declan Eady will be classified as 18th after getting into the wall quite late in the race. Then you have drivers who had significant damage, and a couple of them were still able to make it back on track, with Donald Olson and David Hebert.
And the last of those drivers to make it back around for the race is going to be Adam Wright in 21st and Olivier Legault in 22nd. He was the last driver to finish the race, with Matthew Hall, James Stacy, Tyler Scarelli, Nathan Ward, Don Bowden, Peter Hebron, Jimmy Hume, and Christopher Richards not finishing today's race. And I'll finish this out here with Kevin Santana, Andre Millette, Brian Matthews, Aaron Roofs, Anders Arhus, Robert Bissau Jr., and Matthew Gunderson also not seeing the flag. But we are here in the booth with Joshua Chin. Josh, that was a little bit of an unexpected race for you, man. Talk about the spin and the comeback on that.
The spin was an unforced error that turned out better than I could have hoped for. As soon as I knew I was spinning, I just kind of pinned the gas to make sure I kept the back end off the wall, and then almost swung the front end around, and just had to stop there and wait for Tyler to go past. And he got very close to hitting me, but thankfully didn't. And yeah, that really sucks for Declan. It was kind of his race to lose. I got myself some toe damage early on, and the car was pulling left under braking pretty hard, and I was just sort of hanging on after the pit stop. He was going to run away from me, and then had that error, and that sucks for him. I know what it's like to be in a spot like that and make that kind of mistake, and it hurts.
It certainly does, and I just have to give you kudos for having the sense of mind to be able to get that power down on. I mean, looking at the replay, you were inches off of the wall. But in the first half of that race before the pit stops, Declan was all over your rear wing. Talk about what was going through your mind trying to hold him off in those early stages.
Yeah, I knew he had some pace advantage on me once we got through that first 5-6 laps. I was just kind of hanging on to the car at that point, and I definitely knew he had the pace on me. We were on the same setup. He was running the CSS set this week as well, so a little bit more equal footing, and I think he was taking advantage of that for sure.
Gotcha. Well, next week we're headed to Road America, a little bit more wide open than Detroit. How do you like your chances?
I think they're pretty good. Ran well there in the season opener last year. Had some more time to work on setup since then, and I think the car will be a little bit better. Competition will be interesting because I imagine Declan will probably end up running the CSS set again. So it'll be kind of a big draft fest, and hopefully, unlike last time, we don't end up battling each other and let people get away from the win. Well, that was with Greg last time, not Declan. Declan won the race, so.
Well, it'll certainly be one to see. Josh, congrats again on the win tonight. Anybody to thank before you head out?
Yeah, I got to thank everyone, Team Chimera and Team Talent. Andrew finished second, strong race. Andreas got in 7th place, good for the team points. Austin had a little bit of minute of optional or required damage to fix, so he only finished 12th, but he had a strong run going before that. And thanks to Whitegood Sim Shop for the rig, and Craig Setup Shop for the support. You can get that same setup on CSS right now.
Well, thanks, Josh, and we'll see you next week at Road America. And now Adam is standing by in the booth with our second place finisher, Andrew Wood.
Yeah, Andrew, a very intense race before the pit stop between you, David Sirwa, and also Austin Espedy. Talk to me about that pass you made on David, though, heading into the fountain section.
Yeah, I actually had no idea how that was going to turn out. So I tried to tuck the car nicely into the apex there and just hope that he gave me space and didn't just turn down. But I really do think that he understood that I was pretty much right on his rear wing for about 4 or 5 laps. So I'm pretty sure as soon as I made the move, he was going to let me go. So that was kind of my strategy there. I just couldn't get the run on him out of turn 1 and 2 there. Heading down the straightaway, he had a much better line than I did, and it didn't work out for me to get the draft down the straightaway. So, yeah, I was patient. I felt faster than Austin and Dave, but I just wanted to make sure I was confident when I made the pass. So I'm just glad it worked out.
Absolutely. And next week we head into Road America. Is that a track that you would like, or is that something that's going to be a little bit more challenging for you?
Well, last season I finished dead last there on pace alone, so I hope to do a little better than that. I've been a little inconsistent with my attendance so far this season. I've been getting home kind of late, so if I'm there next week, it'll just be because I got home in time. But I hope I can make it because I kind of want some redemption from what happened last season. But Road America is usually a good track for me, so as long as I can qualify well and put myself in a good track position, I should get another top 10, hopefully.
Absolutely. And you also, I want to talk about this. You seem to have everybody on the brakes today. You seem to be better than most of them. What do you think is your secret on the brakes in these machines?
It's really funny you say that because I feel like braking is kind of my weak point in these cars in particular, especially on cold tires. I don't know. I feel like the tires just have to be operating at a certain temperature for your car to kind of act in such a way that it would be beneficial to get people on the brakes. I did feel like I was slightly better on the brakes than David, but I felt like I was just maybe backing up the corner a little more and kind of like doing a progressive sort of braking to catch up to a mid brake zone. So I don't know. I probably have to watch the broadcast and see an example of what you guys were talking about because I felt like I wasn't really better on the brakes than anyone, maybe just kind of matching them.
Well, Andrew, fantastic finish tonight coming home in second. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, big shout out to Josh Chin. Being my teammate and all, he's been pretty helpful with a lot of my development on road course racing. Last season, I was pretty pitiful, and just working with his setups and asking questions and such, I've gotten a lot more confident in the car. So cheers to him, and also Andreas and Austin, my other teammates, for at least they both finished, which is nice. Shout out to PRL. You guys are great, have always been great to me, and proud to be a part of the site. And you guys over here at Global SimRacing Channel for what's sure to be a great broadcast.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Andrew, and we look forward to seeing you at Road America.
Yep, see you guys then.
That was Andrew Wood, our second place driver, and it looks like DJ Clark has caught up with David Sirwa.
David, you had an amazing battle there early on with Andrew Wood. He was able to pull ahead from you, but traffic still played a big part across the board. How was the race today?
It was a nice race. It was very difficult to stay concentrated all race long, but I'm very happy to bring the La Voix Motorsport Nitro 360 and karting offered car home to the podium. Andrew was a little faster than me, so I was chasing him as hard as I could, but I was a little too cautious because I really wanted to finish the race.
No, I feel that. And as we saw, 14 drivers out, I think finishing the race was the most important thing today. Just in that last interview, Andrew was mentioning just how much better of a line he thought you had coming through turns 1 and 2. So I'm curious if you can talk through just kind of what your process was and what you were thinking about coming through there that gave you such a better advantage.
I really do have no idea. To turn 1 and 2, I was just braking like I always do. I never compared my racing rank to other drivers. Maybe I was just taking a little bit more easy in the first ride to have a better exit in the second corner to have a good top speed all straight long. But I never really saw the difference, the pace I had there compared to other drivers.
Well, all right. Something I guess we can all sort of take note of then. Headed to the polar opposite of Detroit next week at Road America. Obviously wide open, a draft-heavy track. How are you feeling about it?
I think it's going to be a good race. I'm a little afraid about pack racing there because the draft is going to change a lot of things, and it's going to be very hard to create a gap with the cars behind. So I hope the drivers will be will stay in line and to be able to go as fast as possible and lose as little time as possible in the fight. But it's going to be a good race, I'm sure.
That's certainly one that we're looking forward to. Anybody you need to thank before we let you go here tonight?
Level Motorsport, Nitro 360, Karting Offered, all the admin of this series, and you guys, you're doing a very good job.
Well, thank you, David, and we'll see you next week at Road America.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Adam, any final thoughts here after a very, very hectic race at Belle Isle?
I mean, the lessons that we learned were the same ones we thought we were going to learn when we came in, which is basically just trying to hang on to the car at Detroit and finish tends to be a great way to score some good points and some great finish opportunities around this track.
It certainly is. And as we head out tonight, I want to throw a couple of specific thank yous out here. Obviously, our main race sponsor tonight, the ButtKicker, who can be found at thebuttkicker.com, as well as IESN. Also, want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen right now. Additional thanks we want to send out to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. I especially want to thank the team today, Adam, Joe, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out any of our social media pages. We are on Twitter at GSRC Channel, Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel, and on Instagram at GSRC_Graham. We will be back next week for the next round of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series at Road America, Thursday, October 22nd at 9 o'clock Eastern. We do have some other upcoming races here listed on the screen, and coming up next on the GSRC in about 10 minutes is going to be the Lionheart Retro Series at Spa-Francorchamps. That's going to be at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. So you do not want to miss that. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.